Bears 31, Packers 27. This is the game of the weekend, in my opinion. One of the greatest NFL games we've watched all year. What the Bears did to come back was absolutely insane. My notes right here say, what a fucking comeback. Excuse my French, but this might be the best comeback we've seen in a playoff run since 28-3 when the Patriots came back on the Falcons in Super Bowl 53, 52, whatever it was. I don't like going back to that game. It hurts my soul. But I'll tell you who might be the X factor on this Panthers team. Yes, you've got Bryce Young, Rico Dowdle, Tet McMillan. You've got some studs on the defensive side of the ball. But there's one player who was hyped up to have a big contract and be an immediate impact player and plug and play with this Carolina system, and that's Grady Jarrett. Longtime Falcon, goes to the Panthers in the offseason, huge contract, but he doesn't have the biggest production year in regards to his career. He wasn't always the greatest defensive lineman, but he was pretty good. He was a really good defensive lineman for the Falcons. He did not show up and show out for the Panthers this year, but he did in the locker room. So before the season, they had Grady Jarrett and Joe Thuney get up and speak to the team. Joe, former offensive lineman for the New England Patriots. Both of those guys played in that Super Bowl when the Patriots came back from down 28-3. Joe gets up there, talks about what it's like to come back, the mental fortitude, the halftime adjustments, what it takes to get back in a game like that and hold on, not just fold. But then they get Grady Jarrett to come up there and talk about how bad it sucks to lose a game like that. On the biggest stage in the NFL, in all of America, you get beat after being up by 4 scores. So, here's my take. Grady Jarrett, in that moment, humbles himself, tells this team what it's like to do that. Man, I think I said earlier that he got traded to Carolina. We're talking about the Bears. He's on the Bears now. Excuse me. But he goes to Chicago, and he gets up there in front of this locker room and talks about what it takes to come back from that the next season, keep playing ball. I can't really put into words what it means what Grady Jarrett did for this Chicago team when he got up and humbled himself and talked about how bad it sucked to lose a game like that. That is what brought the Bears back. Yes, Joe had a great speech probably on saying how to come back, how to have that mental fortitude. But what Grady Jarrett did made them just terrified of losing a game like that. What's up, everybody? Just wanted to give you a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button on the Hammy Show. We really appreciate all of the support and all of the following that we are gaining constantly. But if you keep doing that, we can keep bringing you this constant coverage. All of the ham-powered antics, the lovable chaos, the wild moments in this crazy world of sports, it's right here on the Hammy Show. And if you hit that button, you won't miss an episode. Now, let's get back to the show. The Bears are down 21-3 against the Packers. They come marching all the way back, and Caleb Williams solidifies the Iceman nickname. The throw on 4th down to Rome Odunze was one of the best throws we've seen in quite a while. I think back to like the Patty Mahomes throw when he's completely parallel to the ground and gets the ball off in the Super Bowl against the Bucs. It didn't really matter because the Bucs were going to win that Super Bowl anyways, but that was a hell of a throw. But what Caleb Williams did on that 4th down, neither one of his feet were on the ground, and he delivers it perfectly over the Green Bay defender and right in the bucket, the bread basket of Rome's hands. Ladies and gentlemen, that was unreal. That was absolutely insane. But it wasn't just the throws for Caleb Williams that really made the difference. What made the difference was his off-the-field antics. Caleb Williams was the most fired up dude on that bench from start to finish for all 60 minutes of that ball game. When he threw an interception, he was out there pissed off at himself, trying to fix it. But he had that short-term memory loss. He gets back out there, and he comes all the way back. Caleb Williams is in teammates' faces, telling them to get right, telling them not to fold, telling them to not do exactly what Grady Jarrett said not to do. Don't fold. Don't fold. Right? That's what Caleb Williams was doing on the sidelines the entire game. And I've had my hate for Caleb Williams, the whole fingernail painting, the drama, the whatever. But man, oh man, Caleb Williams is a rock star. He's a baller. I talked about Matthew Stafford being one of the most clutch quarterbacks in the NFL still. Caleb Williams has entered that conversation. I'm going to get to the next guy that's in these playoffs that has that clutch gene, but Caleb Williams has certainly entered that conversation in the most clutch quarterbacks in the NFL. Ben Johnson, hell of a job on the halftime adjustments. You called a horrendous, pitiful, abysmal first half from an offensive standpoint. 3 points in the first half. But then you score like 24 in 28. Yeah, you scored 28 in the fourth quarter. That was unreal. Unreal. I think it was 24 in the fourth quarter, but 28 in the second half. Hell of a performance. Hell of a job calling that game from Ben Johnson. On the losing side of this, Matt LaFleur, his job is in question. I think that's the big headline leaving this game. On the losing side for the Packers, the tides of the Packers-Bears rivalry has turned. They split it in the regular season. Green Bay comes into this year with all of these Super Bowl aspirations, a really good team with a really good quarterback, some playmakers on the edge, a really strong defense. But the Bears have a guy in Caleb Williams like the Packers had a guy in Aaron Rodgers. The Packers had Aaron Rodgers, and he was the difference maker, the game changer, and he went 21-4 against the Bears. He owned them, and he let the Chicago fan base know that. We've all seen the clip about how he said, "I fucking own you." Yeah. Caleb Williams might have that it factor that Aaron Rodgers did for the Packers. Caleb Williams is a guy that can flip this rivalry on its head and turn it into the Bears' favor. What happened in the wild card round was not just a wild card win, a playoff win. No, what happened in the wild card round might have flipped this rivalry. I'm just saying. And then you finally have to talk about the post-game handshake. Ben Johnson cannot contain this excitement, runs straight up to Matt LaFleur, shakes his hand in the quickest manner, doesn't give him a hug, doesn't talk to him at all, just says good game and runs to the locker room. He gets to the locker room, the video has leaked, and he's like, fuck the Packers, fuck them. I think that's electric. Everybody's pissed off. I love Dick Vitale, but he says, what a classless coach. The focus of this game should be on the Bears and this incredible comeback victory, but now we're talking about Ben Johnson and this post-game handshake. I love you, Dick Vitale, but I don't really care. This is a rivalry. That's what you want in sports, am I right? You want the coaches to hate each other. You want the players to hate each other. That's why we watch this stuff. That's why we watch sports, enjoy them. That's why we love them. Sports are built on rivalries. And the fact that people are calling Ben Johnson classless for his post-game antics, I think that's total BS. I think that's how this rivalry should be. And what's crazy is we might not ever see Matt LaFleur and Ben Johnson shake hands wearing a Packers and Bears coaching uniform ever again because Matt LaFleur's job is in question. So that's my big takeaways from the Bears-Packers game.